my main, best and favorite lens, the Canon RF 100 to 500 millimeter, just randomly stopped working a few weeks ago. Basically a photographer's nightmare. It's just back from the repair center and today I'm out to test if it's been fixed. But let me explain a bit more what happened and what I've been doing in the past few months, because I slightly disappeared from here. A few weeks ago, I was on Helgoland, which is a small island in the North Sea belonging to Germany. I was there specifically for wildlife photography, and it was my second time on the island because the first time there 2 years ago, I just loved it so much that I wanted to go back. So I went on this trip and it's been just amazing. And then I was there on that morning taking photos of the northern gannets, which are the main star of the island anyway. And it was immediately after sunrise. The weather was not great. I was the only photographer there. I was fully and totally enjoying my time. And I was also recording, making videos, and this is literally the last photo I've taken with the lens. So I was actually quite excited because despite the weather was not nice, all of a sudden I could see some glimpse of this nice sunrise light. It was quite difficult because only a few subjects could be taken just in front of the light, but I was glad that I found those subjects and I was working with them. And then all of a sudden, while I was just sitting there just with my camera, the autofocus stopped working. So this is how the photos looked like after that moment. Now, I didn't freak out immediately because sometimes with cameras you have these things, sometimes they just stop working. So I did the best fix that normally fixes lots of problems, which is just turning off and turning on the camera. However, immediately I realized that wasn't working. The autofocus was still not responding, and I also got a not very nice error message. So the error message mentioned lens obstruction. So of course I tried to zoom in and I checked all the rings and everything looked fine. I mean, I was literally using the lens 1 second before. Nothing happened in the meantime. I was seated, calm. I didn't hit anything. There was no rain, nothing at all. So this was a bit weird, honestly. But I did a quick Google search just by, oh my God, there's a great crescent creep so close. Oh well, it's gone. Anyway, did the quick Google search, and based on what I was reading, it looks pretty clear that the error was a serious one. Basically, they were just saying if you check the lens and externally everything is okay and there's literally no obstruction, then the only thing is to send it for repair. The only other thing that I did immediately, because I had also another lens, a wide-angle lens, is of course to switch lens, and the other lens was just working fine. The autofocus was working fine with the other lens, so I was able to isolate the issue as a lens related and not camera related. So honestly, I didn't freak out, which is a bit surprising because knowing myself, I could have freaked out more. I think that I was just really at peace of myself because it was my last day of the trip and I was very happy with the results that I got. That was really my final few hours on the island. My ferry was in the afternoon. Initially, I didn't even want to do photography at all during the last day. Then I just went again to say goodbye to the gannets. And yeah, as I mentioned, I saw that light and I said, okay, it's worth it maybe to take some final photos and some final videos. But overall, I remained pretty calm because I knew that the lens was still under warranty, because this lens is less than 2 years old. It's actually only 1 year and 10 months old. So I just accepted it as a reality. I think that as photographers, we just have to accept that gear things are things, so they can break. So packed my lens, I used a bit more the wide angle and then decided to leave. The most ridiculous thing is that on my way back to the hotel, my mobile also fell on the ground and I broke also the screen of my mobile. So I don't know if you can see, but it basically fell, and the only broken part of the screen is literally the one in front of the selfie camera. So now all my selfies look like have been taken with me in the middle of really thick fog. It's not a filter. This is what I say whenever now I post a selfie somewhere. So it's ridiculous. It was really an unlucky morning, that one. But again, I just accepted it as part of life. If you do things things will break, right? So on that afternoon, I took the ferry back to mainland. Then I traveled by train from Germany to Belgium. And unfortunately, that was weekend, so it was only a couple of days afterwards, on the Monday, that I contacted Canon. And again, after the description of the error that I was getting, they just said, you just need to send the lens for repair. This was my first experience with Canon repair service. I prepared the package, shipped the lens. The lens arrived at the repair center the day afterwards. I shipped from Belgium and the repair center was in France. I received the lens back in less than 3 weeks, and today I'm out the first time trying it. Overall, I'm really impressed. I was really scared about the timeline because I'm due to travel again in a couple of weeks, so I really wanted to have my lens back. However, the process has been quite smooth, I must say. You might be curious about what was wrong with the lens. Basically, what they told me is that they found a defective piece in the autofocus motor, so they changed the whole autofocus motor. Now it looks like it's working. These are the few results from this morning. I'm testing the lens in different situations, of course when the bird is in plain sky, but I'm also putting the autofocus in a bit more challenging conditions, like with lots of foliage, lots of elements in the foreground, and I think that I can really feel the autofocus being just as it was before. I'll keep my fingers crossed, but overall, very positive experience with the Canon Repair Center. Also important experience as a photographer, just to go through and learn how to navigate this stuff. But beyond the lens issues, the past few months have actually been extremely busy and good months, I must say. My trip to Helgoland was just brilliant. I loved spending my time there. You can see now already some of the photos that I've taken and I edited, but I'm actually working on a full vlog only on Helgoland, so that should be the next video that I'll post. Helgoland was not my only trip in the past few months. I was also in Italy, specifically I was in Tuscany. In this case, I didn't go there for photography, actually, because I am following a postgraduate course in wildlife conservation. Also here, a bit of background. If you don't know, I actually left my previous job as a scientist in January. Currently, I'm working as a photographer. And in the meantime, I also decided to go back to university. So I follow this course in wildlife conservation from an Italian university. I finished already all the lectures and now I have some trips to take with them. And we went to Elba Island. There we did a bunch of activities around conservations. They were not focused on birds, unfortunately. However, of course, I took a ferry to reach the island and I knew that there were quite a few chances to spot some interesting birds, and I was able to add a lifer to my life list. In case you don't know, a lifer is a bird species that you see for the first time. So on my way there from the ferry, I actually spotted my first Scopolis shearwater, which is this incredible bird. It was so incredible to see out in the sea. And the ferry back to mainland, I've seen many more. I think this is an interesting thing that happens in bird watching, or at least this is something that I experienced. It's like when you first have to see a species for the first time, it takes really a while. You really have to look for it. Maybe you have to spend time and visit many places. But then after you see that very first individual, all of a sudden it becomes much easier and it looks like you're able to see them more. It's like all of a sudden they're all around. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but I had this experience with different species in the past few years. So then on my way back, although I wasn't actively looking, I saw so many of them, and the photos are not great because, of course, taking photos from a ferry, which is not specifically for wildlife photography, it's tricky, but I'm very happy that I saw these new species. And beyond the trips, I've also been quite busy with my teaching events. So at the end of May, I hosted a free live webinar on mistakes in bird photography based on my own experience as a photographer, but also as a teacher now that I've been reviewing literally hundreds of bird photos from my students and my community. And I wanted to summarize the mistakes that I see made most commonly, but also the ones that maybe are more difficult to really spot. So it was a great live event with so many people attending. The recording is available only to the people who registered originally, but if you want to access it, just let me know in the comments and I'll let you know how you can get it. And then I also organized my very first masterclass. So when compared to a webinar, the masterclass was a paid event. It was a 2-hour, actually more than 2-hour long training on a very specific topic. It was about composition in wildlife photography. I have to admit that I was quite stressed because this was my first masterclass, and I put so much energy in it. I mean, it took months of preparations because in 2 hours I really wanted to put everything is important for composition, and I want to condense not only all my knowledge as coming from my personal experience, but also as a teacher, but also all the knowledge coming from books, from design, art. And it was actually a big task to summarize all this information in a way that I was not leaving important things out, but at the same time assuring that people could really follow and understand in an easy way. And then of course all the composition concepts, literally all the principles, all the laws were applied to wildlife photography. So there were, I think, hundreds and hundreds of photos that I shared as practical examples. It's been such a great experience. Many people follow the masterclass as a live event. The other people who decided to buy it are currently watching it. The feedback for now is great, and I'm so happy. In case you're interested, I actually plan to release the masterclass again as a recording soon. So if you want to know, just stick around and you will know when it's available. I'm really sorry that I disappeared for so long, but it's been a very busy period, and I didn't mention that actually April was also a very weird month because I've been sick quite a bit. I had a series of weird viral and bacterial infections, and I really didn't work much during the whole month. And I'm still struggling a bit to develop a process so that these longer videos fit in my normal schedule. But the plan is to use the summer to actually slow down a bit more with the content that I make for the other social media, mainly Instagram, so I can focus more on the longer videos because I have so much material. I just need some time to sit down at the computer and edit and put together everything and hopefully become more efficient in the process. But I really appreciate you sticking around and still watching the videos and messaging me about my videos, even if I've been quite absent from here. And now talking more about the future plans, well, again, I'll be traveling a bit in just a couple of weeks. I'll be leaving for Italy again. This time I'll go in the north of Italy in the Gran Paradiso National Park. I will be there first, again with the university for my postgraduate course, but then I plan to stay a bit longer to explore the place because it looks just amazing. I hope I'll be able to see the typical wildlife species of the Alps, fingers crossed. After the Alps, I'll actually move to my place of origin, a bit further south in Italy, to my small little region, Molise. So I'll spend there quite some time. I look forward to, of course, go back there to stay with my family and friends, but also to check on my camera traps and also to say hello to my neighbor breeding birds, which are so cool in Italy. And afterwards, I'll even go further south because I also have a small trip planned to Sicily. I will be there mostly for holidays, so not bird related, but you never know, I might still do some bird watching here and there. Maybe I'll take my camera with, of course, I'll take my camera with me. So this is how the next few months are going to look like, but I hope that, as I mentioned, in the meantime, I'll be able to post some videos, and of course, I'll bring you with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.